Hi everybody and welcome to week 10 of McFade's Critique Week, and this week we have, let's have a look, 7 shots. Nice bit of variety by the look of it. So if you're new to this, the purpose is just to spend 2.5 minutes on each photo that friends or people who've been on the workshops have uploaded to Dropbox, and I give some thoughts on how it could be improved and share some Lightroom tips. So hopefully everyone learns a little bit from it. It's all anonymous, I've no idea who's taken these shots, so there's no bias or anything like that. Okay, so let's start the timer and let's have a look. So here we go. 3, 2, there we go. So it's on its way now. So the first shot looks like Dinky Toys, all lined up in a row and shot with a macro lens, or a lens on a extension tube, so you get this very, very narrow depth of field, so you can see the Fiat and the number is sharp, but very little else is in front and behind it. Yeah, it's a hard one to comment on really, because there's very little to it. I mean, it does give you the sort of feel of a lot of depth with these long lines of red going on. Probably a bit like one of those kaleidoscope effects you got in disco in the 70s and 80s, where you looked into a square and it went on for infinity. So yeah, it's quite a creative idea, nicely thought out. I mean, I'm not sure whether it's one car shot many times or a digital effect. I don't think it's actually sharp enough. There's not enough depth of field, because you'd like to see a bit more of that car there for my liking. But so just to think about what you could do in Lightroom, let's have a look at the histogram. So it's one of these where the highlights are quite low. So if we brought the brights up a little bit, see. So the whites, we've put them up to 64, but we're not looking at the numbers, we're looking at the histogram. So that's now up there, so the brightest bit's approaching white. And if you look at the darks, nothing particularly black there, so let's just drag this down. There you go. So it's instantly got a little bit more punch, which you can enhance again by, not too much clarity. See what happens when you add a lot of clarity? You get a lot of black going on, because that's kind of a local contrast it's adding. So I'd probably avoid a lot of clarity in this case, because it's getting rid of any sort of bright contrast. It's just making everything really dark. So you could maybe counteract that by adding a bit of shadows to it. Yeah, but you know, a fun shot anyway. I'll give it that. Okay, so that's your 2.5 minutes. So let's move to the next one, which is loading. Very pleasant. Nice looking water feature here, and a tower. So first impressions are everything's on this side, everything's on the right. I know you've got some nice lead lines coming in from the waterfalls, these little fountains here, which lead the eye in, which is a nice feature. But your tower and your main fountain are both on the right hand side. Now, had you taken a few paces to the left, right probably in this instance, you could have had it so the fountain's here on the left hand side and the tower's where it is on the right hand side, giving a nice diagonal composition, which would have been a lot stronger. I see what you've done, you've placed it nicely in the middle there, but I think because there's not enough going on here and everything going on here, you've missed out on a bit of a trick there. So what I would maybe, if I was going to crop it differently, I don't think it's level actually. Let's just, so I'm going to go to on the crop tool. Where is it? Yeah, maybe it is. It's one of those deceptive ones. I'm looking at these bits of water going up and these bits of water going up, assuming that Yeah, it's not an easy one to work out whether it's level or not, because if you look at this piece here on the clock tower, if you get that level, it looks very off on the vertical. This is all down to wide angles and camera and the distortion of the lenses. Now, to me, that looks a bit more sort of level at this foot here, and these appear to be quite level. So I'll maybe crop something like that. It's a squarish crop. Again, I think the levels are pretty good on this actually. I think it needs a bit of noise reduction. If you have a quick zoom in up there, you can see these lines and stuff. Okay, so a bit of noise reduction and it should be okay. Right, so that's that 2 minutes up. That went quick. What's next? Looks like we're back in the UK here with a canal scene, and it looks like that's a Wellington Street there, and that's a little steps going up, and this is the old railway line coming into Leeds. So what settings are we on for a start? Because F11, so we're getting real bad fringing here. Can you see this edge here? So what we could try and do, I mean, you don't often get this these days, but sometimes we can try remove chromatic aberration, see if it finds it. No, it's not done, has it? Okay, so if we go to colour, remove chromatic aberrations, and go and click on the orange there with a little look, is it going to do it? Let's no, it's not playing ball, is it? Let's just try it again. Oh well. Had a go, it didn't work. Don't know why. If you're using more expensive lenses, you don't get this. This is probably a kit lens, I'm guessing, and they can sometimes get this effect. That usually works. I'm not too sure what was going on there. Anyway, composition. I like the eye shape you've got going on here, and you've gone for a nice lead line. It's quite dominant as this lead line though, isn't it? It's sort of like it's coming in from here and wrapping round like that. Does that work? Don't think so. I mean, if you could be a bit braver and maybe get so you're further over to the water, or maybe dangling over the water a little bit, what you can do is get this lead line coming, so this edge here is a bit more over to this side. But if you're going to crop it, you can I don't know, something like that. There's a lot of junk at the bottom there. Anyway, careful with the defringing. Right, so next one. Wow, that's a colourful coastal sort of shot there. Really intense blues and reds by the looks of things. Yeah, very nice and calm. You've got some lovely reflection going on here. Just about seeing the rippling going on. Lots of lobster pots and things. So let's have a little zoom in. Yeah, nice and sharp throughout. Esk Bell, so that gives us a clue. It's up in. Well, actually, that's like Whitby. That bridge. I think my favourite chippies round that corner there. Is it vertical? It looks to me to be tilted off to the left. So let's just get our angle tool. So assuming that this is vertical, what you can do is get your level tool, drag it down, and get something in the middle, get that vertical. And then if you want to, you can use the Lightroom's vertical tool here. Let's just see if it does anything to these buildings, because they're diverging a little bit. So yeah, now that's gone vertical there. So I think it's done quite a good job for us. Very pleasant scene, really. If anything, might be a little bit too much sky for it's a square crop, isn't it? I think, yeah. so that works. I'd maybe, just a personal taste, maybe bring out the shadows a little. Ooh, crikey. This is a problem when you're editing JPEG, because you can go a little bit wild on the colours. So what we'll do, just open it up a little bit. I'm going to bring the saturation down because it's gone a little bit crazy, hasn't it? There you go. And maybe, actually, I think we've got enough time for this. You've got 20 seconds. I'll just create a virtual copy, and I reckon maybe a red high contrast conversion. So all these boats will go light, and the blues in the sky will go a bit darker. There you go, something like that. Okay, right, so next one. Wow, so this is sort of a classic view over a misty kind of lake. You've got a big cable up here which you could probably lose, but I think the main thing is, if you look at the histogram, you're missing half the exposure there. So let's just drag the whites up a little bit, so you just see what difference that at about 75. We're not looking at the numbers, we're looking at the histogram here. That and that. Even on the moodiest of shots, it's really, I wouldn't say important, but well, it is important, but it massively enhances it if you've got some real contrast in there, especially on these dark shots like that. And it's so easy to do. You just play with the whites and blacks. If you look at the blacks, it's already clipping on the black side, as in this area here is already black, so you haven't really got a problem there. It might be too dark on the print. I mean, you can play around with clarity and stuff if you want. Have we gone over on the white there? Just a little bit. You can see those reds coming in, so maybe bring the whites down a little bit. So I think the lake's looking quite nice there, actually. If you want to get rid of this power cable, hello, someone's tweeted me. You can just draw. This is Lightroom 5, so it's a reasonable tool for cloning things. There you go. Photoshop's a lot more powerful, obviously, but you know, for stuff like that where it's quite simple, Lightroom's fine. Now my fear is if I try and drag out any detail in this lower part, I'll just show what happens. Because it's a JPEG, everything gets very messy and speckly. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to drag this grad on and maybe move it down a little bit. So I'm just going to go to custom dodge, which is a generic lighten, and now I'm just going to try and bring some detail out in the shadows. Now the problem is, as you can see here, it goes very noisy and strange, so don't do that. I'd leave it as a black and white. Okay, so next shot. Have we got another one? Ooh, Lindisfarne. So just wait for that to render. So yeah, it's a beautiful rock if you've ever been there. This looks like the old abbey at Lindisfarne. So it looks like we've got some selective blurring going on. If you look at this bit here, that side's sharp and this is blurred. If you look here, the bottom of this stone's sharp, but that's been blurred. This has got blurred here. That's sharp and that's got blurred. It's not an effect I like. Who's to say it's wrong or right, but for me, I'm looking at the scene and all I can see is this sort of like, why is that like that? You know, are you trying to convey a miniature kind of effect? I'd probably steer clear of doing this. I mean, the top of the wall there looks blurred. It's just a bit odd. Is the castle itself sharp? So let's have a look at your settings. So you've got it at 200th of a second, 60mm and f8. So for this kind of shot, I think if you're, that's your focal point, I'm assuming you want that sharp. So what you want to be doing is focusing on that and then making a decision on your aperture whether you want, well actually that's probably not right actually. If you want everything sharp, you want to be focusing somewhere about here, which is about a third of the way into the shot, say, and shooting on a tripod at f16 or something very small like that. And what that will give you, it will probably give you these things in the foreground nice and sharp, which they are. If you look at the lichen on this, that's pretty sharp. But at f16 and focusing there, you'll also get a nice sharp castle. So in summary, not a fan of this selective blurring nonsense. And if you want to get everything sharp, bang it on a tripod, f16 it, focus a third into the shot, and you get front to back shot. So we've got another one. Yay! Oh crikey! Looks like we're in Athens or somewhere like that. I love this. Oh, that's as big as it is actually. I can't really zoom in any further. Just a quick look to see if we're vertical or not. So looking at the middle ones, just a little twist. So if you look, I'm looking at this pillar there. In fact, what we can do is get hold of our angle tool. Let's draw down it. Let's try it straight down the middle of it. So that's about the middle there. Because the tapered are these columns, as in the wider at the bottom than they are at the top. So if you draw the line down the side of them, it's not going to be vertical, it's going to be on a bit of a slant. Anyway, so that looks fairly much there. And like we did on an earlier shot, what you can then do is pop down to your lens corrections and just hit the vertical. And hopefully all these, you see, sometimes it gets it wrong because that one looks like it's leading out now. So the good thing is just click off and it'll sort it out. But I think let's have a think. Manual, and then there's vertical here. Look what we can do. It's just, it's going a bit weird as well, isn't it? It's one of those that isn't far out. So main impression is, if you'd gone and stood here and shot down, you'd have a nice lead line and vanishing point effect going on from these pillars and those as a feature. So you'd have a third of these and 2/3 of that maybe, and you'd be able to get those nice holes in the roof in. Or if you shot this way, it'd be the same sort of idea. Shooting as you have, it's a bit of a record shot, you know, it's sort of thing that you do if you're an archaeologist who wanted a memory of the place rather than a creative photo. And have we got some blurring going on here? Okay, so a bit of miniature theme going on today. Right, do we have any more? Okay, so that's it. So just have a little recap. So first one, yeah, novelty shot, good fun, lots of colour, needed a bit more contrast, especially on the bright side. Nice monochrome version here. I never actually got around to adding a vignette, but this is what I was going to suggest before the 2 minutes ran out. Just putting a bit of vignette on it, gives it a bit more drama. But the main thing was you'd put this, all your cards are on the right hand side, the tower and the fountain. If you'd have moved to the left, the relative position would have changed. So the fountain would be on the left hand side and the tower would be on the right hand side, giving you a nice balanced diagonal composition. With this one, I felt it was a little bit overpowering, was this foreground. That was the main thing. If you can get a little bit further over, you get more reflection and less of these weeds and things like that. Actually, there's a bit of a puddle there which you might be able to get a reflection, and there's a puddle there as well, look. So just have a think about your foregrounds, but I like the idea. I think you're on the right track there. Okay. yeah, I think this is probably my favourite of the day. Just a really nice Whitby scene, lots of colour, maybe a bit too much, but I think the black and white conversion works really nicely. And if you had a little bit of toning to it, like a bit of yellow in the highlights, that sort of thing, it gives a really nice timeless sepia. Black and white with this one. Be wary of your histogram because it was massively underexposed. Just adding quite a bit of white to it made all the difference with that. Nice scene though, a bit of a nice foreground hook there. My summary's 2.5 minutes long. With this one, just practice your focusing. I'd recommend maybe go to a park or something like that, get your tripod out, and if you focus about 1/3 of the way into a shot at f/16 with a wide lens, hopefully all of the scenes should be sharp from front to back. You know, it's not foolproof, but it's about 1/3 of the way. It's called hyperfocal distance, and it gives you so you'd end up with a nice sharp castle, which this isn't, and all the stuff in the foreground would be sharp as well. Okay, and I mean, yeah, I'm not a fan of the blurring, but you know, that's up to you. And this one, yeah, it's a record shot, which is you know, just I've been there. It looked like this. If you wanted to get creative, you could have stood over here and shot down the sides. Okay, so a nice variety again there. Thanks to everyone for uploading those, and hope you've got a good few tips there, and look forward to seeing what's uploaded next week. Thanks a lot.